You always hear those stories in like movies and stuff, and you never expect to see it in person, but I was like literally right there. I did the sack bunt to get him to second or third, and then Ricky brought him on with the suicide squeeze. That was electric.
Welcome to episode 298 of Alberta Dugout Stories, the podcast. I'm Joe McFarland. Things are starting to wind down a little bit in the local baseball world with major provincial and national tournaments now complete. However, there is still plenty of news and notes to pass along, so let's get right to it. And we'll start in the pros, and the talk of the town the last few weeks has been Erik Sabrowski. After making his Cleveland Guardians debut last week, he's made 2 more appearances, with his first coming against the LA Dodgers at Dodger Stadium Saturday night, where he went 2+ innings of shutout ball, allowing just 1 hit while striking out 3, including Freddie Freeman.
Sabrowski strikes it out, and that will end the inning. Dodgers lead it 7-2 through 4.
The Dodgers won that game 7-2. Then on Tuesday, Sabrowski cleaned things up in the 9th inning of a 5-0 win over the Chicago White Sox. He allowed no hits and 1 walk while striking out 1.
As Sabrowski tries to finish it right here, a liner caught. Book it. Jose Ramirez.
Look at Jose.
Hung on to that rocket off the bat of Brian Ramos.
So in 3 appearances, the St. Albert product and AHP coach has allowed 2 hits and 1 walk while striking out 6 in just 4 2/3. Bravo, Erik. How about the defense of Tristan Peters? The Dawgs Academy alum caught a ton of attention this past Thursday night as his AAA Durham Bulls faced the Columbus Clippers. He made not 1.
He goes to work, and the pitch is hit high in the air and deep to left field. Peters at the track, at the wall. He leaps and brings it back.
Not 2.
2-0, hit hard to left field again, and Peters on the run, lays out and makes the catch. Peters is everywhere right now. The center fielder, Jake Mangum, just left his position in center to go over and chest bump what is happening in left field.
But 3.
2-strike pitch. George swings, serves it toward left center field. This will hang up there long enough to have a diving catch made by Tristan Peters. Holy cow, this guy.
Amazing plays in left field. However, the Bulls fell in that contest 3-2. In AA, Dawgs Academy alum Matt Lloyd is having himself a fantastic September. He's hitting .344 this month with 2 homers and 11 RBI in 8 games. He's now hitting .274 on the season with 17 home runs and 77 RBI. Big congrats to Lethbridge's Landon Barassa and the Winnipeg Goldeyes as they are in the midst of the American Association playoffs against the Fargo-Moorhead Redhawks. During the season, Barassa went 8-7 with an ERA of 4 in 20 starts, striking out 96 in 119 innings. Speaking of indie ball, one of the guys we haven't chatted with in a long while has been Clayton Keys. The Dawgs Academy alum made his pro baseball debut this summer with the Frontier League's Evansville Otters. He hit .167 with 4 RBI and a stolen base in 10 games. Closer to home, the Medicine Hat Mavericks and Okotoks Dogs have started naming their Players of the Year. The Western Canadian Baseball League award winners and all-star team selections are likely to be announced in the next couple of weeks. There is some fall ball happening in this province's college ranks. Prairie Baseball Academy, the University of Calgary Dinos, and Edmonton Collegiate Hawks have all started playing a few games while the weather is still good. Check out each team's social media for dates and times of games. Congratulations to Vauxhall Academy for winning the inaugural Sylvan Lake Gulls Rising Stars tournament. They beat Going Yard Goats out of Saskatchewan 6-4 in the final. That tournament also saw Weber Academy, St. Joe's Academy, and AHP Academy all taking part. We have a couple of guests coming up from that tournament a little later on in the show. A lot of attention will now turn to the Canadian Future Showcase in Toronto. The top high school talent in the country will be taken to Rogers Centre September 17th, 22nd. Last year was a big one for Alberta, with Weber's Simon Baker being named MVP, while St. Joe's Nathan Flewelling won the Home Run Derby. As always, we'll be keeping tabs on how that tournament all shakes out. Over the last few weeks, we have been having a few conversations with players taking part, and this week's guests are all going to be there as well. We'll start with Landon Kauffman. Originally from Vancouver, this will be the Dawgs Academy product's 3rd time at the tournament. He's also coming into this year's event as a Western Canadian Baseball League champion, as he had a regular outfield role for the Okotoks Dogs. He's still buzzing from that experience and looking forward to what's ahead. Landon, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Talk about a whirlwind last few months here, but we'll start with this. Landon Kauffman, 2024 Western Canadian Baseball League champion. How does that sound?
Man, it's crazy. If you were to tell me that a few months ago, I would have been like, what do you mean by that? But yeah, it was crazy to be a part of. I loved every second of it. I mean, originally I was like, okay, it'll be good. I'll get some more high-level reps in, and it'll help prepare me for my senior season and college and stuff. But it turned out to be much more than that. I actually feel like I got pretty close with some of the guys, which, you know, some of them are actually 7 years older than me, which is just kind of crazy that I'm on the same field as them. But they treated me like their little brother, and like even when I was going through like a little bit of a couple games slump, they were there supporting me. And like for example, Ricky came up to me and he's like, "You're just thinking too much of the box," and like I totally agreed. I was like, "Yeah, you're right." But it was just cool to hear that from someone else, especially one of the leaders on the team. And yeah, it was a great experience. And wow, that playoffs, I don't know, I haven't been a part of it. I haven't seen any of the other playoffs any other year, but I don't think anything comes close to that. Like every single game you had on the edge of your seat, for sure. And it was crazy to actually get a play in the games too. Like, yeah, it was crazy.
So I'm curious, heading into that playoff run, were you a bit nervous at all? Because here you are as a high school kid getting this call saying, we're going to need you in a pretty big spot.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm confident in my abilities, but like even like the first time I got put out there early on in the season, we were up like 15-0 against Brooks or something, and I got put into right in the bottom of the ninth inning, and I was like, there should be no pressure here, but like it's kind of nervous looking up, and there's half the town is watching you play. But like Luther was saying to me, you got to realize like they're cheering you on. They want you to do well. So yeah, you just got to use it as energy and motivation and stuff like that. So yeah, and then I learned a lot. Specifically, Andy Peterson said to me on the bench, I care about two things, working hard and believing in yourself. And I've heard that stuff before, but when he said that, I really thought about it and was like, I'm the same player. It's the same game. I know I can play at this level for sure. So you just got to believe in yourself. I think that's the biggest thing. But yeah, there was definitely nerves. Didn't want to like let the team down or anything. I just wanted to do what I could to help repeat the three-peat.
And he did exactly that. Aside from that, on a personal level, do you have any goals or expectations of yourself heading into that playoff run, knowing that you may get some key at-bats at key times?
I mean, I had a pretty successful regular season with the college team, and I wanted to keep that going. I was in a bit of a slump in the playoffs, but I was just trying to do everything I could to contribute in other ways, like defensively and just being a good teammate on the bench when I wasn't playing and stuff like that, and doing jobs, trying to execute. And even if I didn't have a good at bat, I still saw pitches, and I would like relay on to the guys behind me like what I was seeing and how I think he's trying to pitch to guys and stuff like that. So like just finding ways to contribute to the team even when things aren't going great at the plate. Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned the outfield stuff because Ian and I saw a few of the games, and even whether it be in person or on video, and one of the things we both mentioned was it felt like the outfielders were always in the right spot at the right time. Talk about that camaraderie and the communication that happens, whether it's between you and Alejandro or you and Logan or you and Tucker. Like the group of you that were on the outfield seemed to be pretty in sync with what you needed to do from player to player.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, they've been in the game for a long time, so they kind of know how to play in those situations. But our coaches put us in positions, and then it's just our job to give it all we got. Like just laying out for everything, as long as it was a smart decision to lay out, and like just running as hard as you can, covering guys, and yeah, I think we all did a great job of that and communicated well for sure. And yeah.
Aside from the home run, looking back on it, do you have a favorite highlight or memory from the playoffs?
Honestly, Ricky's suicide squeeze to win the Lethbridge game was like crazy. I was not expecting it at all. Like you always hear those stories in like movies and stuff, and you never expect to see it in person. But I was like literally right there. I did the sack bunt to get him to second or third, and then Ricky brought him on with the suicide squeeze. That was electric. And then obviously the home run, that was crazy. But yeah, just all the intense games. Like the Sylvan series was pretty sweet because we lost the first game, and they were talking a lot about like, oh, come to the game in Okotoks tomorrow to watch us sweep them. And then it felt pretty good when we won that series for sure.
Absolutely. So let's fast forward. Final play of the 2024 playoffs. It is Crowson, and he's hitting that bomb. Who are you hugging first?
I think I went to like a couple of the other affiliates, like Will Labonte was there, and Austin Collins and Preston Toshnick, and I was just like, man, that was so cool, and they were just like speechless, and that was crazy. And then just to see all the senior guys like Luther and Lombard and those guys just like hugging Lou, the coach, and that stuff, that was so cool to see. Like, what a way to end your career for sure. Mm-hmm. And that was pretty cool.
Looking back on it now, 2020 hindsight, and a couple of weeks after the fact, what's maybe the biggest lesson you learned from that experience of that playoff run?
I think I kind of mentioned it earlier, but what Andy Peterson told me, every game we found like time to have conversations. Like we'd just be mid-game and we'd be having like 10-minute conversations, and I learned a lot from him. The biggest thing, definitely believing in yourself. Yeah, I think it's so much more powerful than it may seem. And like when you're put in a situation like that where you're playing with guys 7 years older than you, it can be hard to like be confident in your abilities. But that's the biggest thing, because I know I can play at that level. It's just about believing in it and trusting myself. So that was definitely the biggest lesson.
Mm-hmm. No rest for the wicked either, as you're heading to Toronto in the not too distant future here for the Canadian Future Showcase. How excited are you for that opportunity?
Yeah, I'm super excited. I mean, I've went 2 years before, and every year it's been amazing. I love it. The baseball's really good. I like it because I get to see, like, this is the best players in the country. I get to see where I stack up. And playing in Rogers Center is just super cool. It's crazy how big it is. And they treat you so well there. And it's also kind of cool to see some of the guys I haven't seen for a while from BC that also got invited. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
Looking back on the experience the last couple of years, is there anything that you're kind of focusing in on to make sure that you make this one the best you've had to this point?
I think I know that I'm one of the older players this year, and I just want to show that I'm one of the best players there, because I believe I am. And so just like I said earlier, just believing in myself and knowing that I can compete with these guys, and that I can have success. Just trusting in that, and I'm looking forward to it.
Let's go back in your baseball past a little bit here, Landon. You're a product of Vancouver. How did you get into the game in the first place?
I think, like, my dad played a little bit growing up in high school and stuff like that, but I just kind of tried everything. I played soccer, I played hockey and baseball kind of growing up, and then I chose to drop soccer, and then eventually I dropped hockey to play football. I went to a really good football school here in BC, so I tried that out, which was a cool experience. And then I ended up moving out to Okotoks because I saw that I had the best future in baseball, and I just loved the game.
What was it about baseball that made you go, yeah, I want to chase that?
I don't know. I love so much about it. I like the people I meet are great. The coaches I've had, like, up until 13, all my coaches were like volunteers, and it's like there's something special about this game that makes like these grown men just want to come back and coach these kids. And so it's a really special game, and I love the hard work that you need to put in, and I love working hard. You gotta love the grind to see success. So yeah.
Absolutely. You mentioned Dawgs. You come east, something that you don't necessarily see on an everyday basis. What was it about Dawgs that made you go, I want to go and learn there?
So like around like 12, 13, that age, I was like, I'm like having some success in like Little League and stuff like that, but I didn't know how I stacked up to the rest of the country and stuff like that. But we'd practice like twice a week and play a game or two a week. But I was like, I want to do more than this. I want to go to a place like where I can literally go to the facility whenever I want and I can hit so much. And I just wanted a place like that. And then my dad told me one day that he had exchanged some emails with Jeff Duda, one of the main guys at Dawgs, and like about this opportunity, because he saw that I was really passionate about baseball. And then I went out on a couple visits, and then I played in a couple tournaments, and then I decided that, or actually I had to make a 40-slide pros and cons presentation to convince my mom, because she was originally she was against me moving out. She's like, you're my first baby, you can't move out until like 18 and stuff. I don't know if I can handle that. But she called me out to the fire pit one day and was like in tears, and was like, I decided that I want you to do this, and like, you love this, and I think this will be a great opportunity. And it was, for sure.
How nervous were you, A, about making that 40-slide presentation, but B, about moving away from home? Because it's not an easy thing to do when you're such a young guy.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, up until that point, up until I moved out at 16, the most I was away from my family was that summer. I went away to Georgia for 10 days. So I was definitely super nervous. It was pretty sad leading up to the day we were going to drive out. Like, I knew it was going to be exciting and stuff, but it's super scary. Like, you're a young kid going to a new place, and like, you don't have your mom and dad and family to be there. Like, I went to a new school. I've been like the new kid at school before, but I can talk to my parents at home about it. But moving out to Okotoks, it's like I'm 12 hours away. The closest I can get is a phone call. So yeah, it was definitely scary, but I felt like I was ready for this, and I needed this for my baseball career, and just life in general. And I think it really has helped me mature as a person, for sure.
You've been on some stack teams with that program as well. You've won a ton of championships and that kind of thing. Take us into the dugout, though, with that academy team. Do you guys know how good you all are?
I mean, I think we got a pretty good idea. Like, it's crazy. Last year especially, like, that team, like, thinking about it, like, we had crazy high expectations going into that year, as you can expect. Like, pretty much our whole starting lineup, I think it was our whole starting lineup was committed to Division I schools, which is like, there's no other program like that. So yeah, we had a good idea of that, but I love the academy and the players that were around. You're around like-minded people. Everyone has the dream of like playing professional baseball one day, which I've never been around that before. Yeah, it's awesome. The dugout, it's lots of good conversations. You get so much better even when it's like an off day, just talking to the coaches and watching the game and picking the minds of other players on the team. You learned a ton, and yeah, I love it.
You mentioned the D1 thing, which is a perfect segue. I wanted to ask about University of Portland is where you're heading next. How excited are you for that? What was it about that program that made you say, hey, I want to train there?
I'm super excited about it. When I got that opportunity, I was super happy, because that's like, especially when I was like 12, 13, I was like, man, I really want to play Division I baseball. And I was like, I think there's a chance, but I didn't know like if I could do it actually. And it was awesome to like realize like, man, this is a reality now. And I think I chose Portland for a couple of reasons. They're a really loyal program, and I think that's important in today's day and age, because nowadays guys are getting like cut and released like left, right, and center, and like you don't perform for like one AB, and then they bring in a guy from the transfer portal from like Tennessee, and then you just lost your spot, and then next thing you know, you're cut and you're heading back home and you need to find some other place to play. And I think this place has a really good track record of like being loyal to their players, and they love me, and I love everything that they have to offer. So they're expecting me to come in there and make an impact and start right away. So I have expectations going in there, but I'm looking forward to it. Great facilities as well, which I love. And like the little kid in me loves the Nike sponsorship. Like, I think growing up, everyone wants to have a Nike sponsorship, which is pretty sweet as well. And then the education is amazing there. It's a private school. So I'm looking forward to the smaller classes and getting the opportunity to learn at a really good institution.
Speaking of schooling, what are you going to try to major in?
I'm pretty sure business. I haven't like committed to anything yet, but that's kind of where I'm thinking. My dad is kind of in that line of work, and it seems pretty interesting. So yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to that.
Very cool. A couple more for you before we let you go here, Landon. First off, when you get to see those first-year guys at Dawgs as an example, or maybe they're the young kids who are at Dawgs games looking for autographs, that kind of thing, and they're poking and prodding your brain a little bit, wondering what they got to do to get to that next level, to get to where you're at now, what's maybe that number one piece of advice you like to give to them?
I think like the biggest thing is like you can be the best player on your team, but like overall, like there's so many players that are better than you and working harder than you. So just I think effort's the one thing that like you can always control, and working hard is the biggest thing. And also some advice that I've like been telling my siblings and stuff is like just enjoy it, like enjoy every moment of it, because time flies. Like my coach told me in grade 8, like next thing you know, you'll be heading to school. And I was like, well, I don't think it'll go that fast. It does go that fast. Time flies. And so, yeah, just enjoying every minute, I think is extremely important. And that helps you, like, learn and not take a moment for granted. And, yeah, I think you improve a lot that way as well.
Absolutely. Final question we ask everybody here on the show, Landon. What's the game of baseball mean to you?
It's everything. It's my life. Obviously, I moved to a different province for it. Yeah, I love it. I've met so many great people. Like the family that we built at Dawgs, it's crazy. Like I don't think there's any other team in the country or maybe even North America that has all the players and coaches like in tears after the last pitch is thrown for the season, because like we truly are a family. Like you hear that often, but like it actually is. So that was really hard, like saying goodbye to the guys when they're heading off to college. But I know that they're brothers for life, and so yeah, it means everything to me. Meet so many good people. It's my place. It's my happy place. I have so much fun doing it, and it gives me a place to work hard. And yeah, I love it.
We've loved having you on the show here, Landon. Congrats on all the success, the WCBL Championship, everything to this point, continued success at Dawgs, Portland, the Canadian Future Showcase, and so much more. And again, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Next up, we head to Sylvan Lake, where my family took in the Sunday morning game of the Gulls Rising Stars tournament between Vauxhall and Going Yard. It gave me an opportunity to have quick chats with a pair of Future Showcase invitees. The first is Vauxhall's Langdyn Cummins, originally from Taber. The outfielder also represented Alberta at the Canada Cup in Fort McMurray and is excited for the opportunity to head east.
Langdon, first off, middle of September, and you got a gorgeous weekend like this. Yeah. How awesome is that?
Man, it's just a wonderful experience. Like, just being out here with the new guys, it's awesome.
It is the start of the new high school season. Give us the scouting report from what you've seen so far.
We were a young hitting team last year. We're going to be a better hitting team than we were last year, in my opinion. We're all older. I think we had 3 hitters go, and we lost a lot of pitching last year. So definitely our new pitchers are going to have to step up for sure.
For sure. Kind of an exciting time for you. The season's not done by any stretch of the imagination. How excited are you to go to Toronto?
Really excited. Like, that's going to be a great experience, just all of it. It's going to be nice.
How much leaning on your former teammates or current teammates are you doing to be like, what do I got to expect out of this?
I've already had a chat with a few of them that have gone to the event and just been like, what should I expect? Like, what am I in? What have I got myself into here? Like, kind of thing. So, yeah.
Do you have any goals or expectations of yourself heading in?
Just enjoy it. remember it, make it memorable. So, yeah.
Do you have a situation in mind that you want to kind of make it memorable by? Like, are you going to take that moment of stepping out of the field and, like, just go,
yeah,
I get to do this kind of
just
thing?
kind of, like, take it all in for sure. Yeah, just enjoy the moment.
Talk about your season so far and your year so far. You've been kind of turning a few heads. How excited are you about your play as of late?
Pretty excited. Like, I mean, I just got to kind of keep going, doing what I'm doing, I guess. It's going to be good. Yeah.
Talk about your baseball beginnings here a little bit. How'd you get into the game in the first place?
I started in playing Tabor minor baseball in southern Alberta. My dad kind of got me into it because he said it's a game of learning. So that's kind of how he started it. He just said it's a game of learning, and I want you to learn. So.
Were you a multi-sport guy growing up?
Yeah, I played hockey, obviously, like any Canadian kid, and then I played basketball too.
Very cool. What made you go, you know what, baseball is a game I want to chase?
When I was, because Tabor's like only 20 minutes from the academy, so I was like, wow, that's cool. Because I went to one of the little kid events that they put on, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. So, yeah.
Very cool. When did it turn for you? When it went, like, this is a fun game too, okay, this is something I want to chase?
I think it was my first year of, like, actual competitive baseball, like 12U AAA, and I was like, wow, this is awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, what's your favorite memory or moment on the field where you had to kind of take that step back and go, man, I can't believe I get to do this?
Probably my first game with the academy. I was just in awe. It was just awesome.
Very cool. On the flip side of that, baseball's a game of failure. What's that one moment or that one hurdle you've had to overcome that you're really proud of?
Size. Probably size. I think I ran a 7.6 60 in grade 10. And over the summer, I trained a little, and I brought it down to a 6.5. So,
very cool.
Gained a lot of speed.
Very cool. A couple more for you, and then we'll let you hit the bus here. Those young kids are just starting out on their baseball journeys, and they're looking at you going, I want to be in his shoes one day. What's that one piece of advice, those words of wisdom you like to impart upon the kids?
Just grind. You got to work hard to do it. Just work hard.
Very cool. And final question, it's one we ask everybody here on the show. What's the game of baseball mean to you?
I mean, shoot. Like, more than anything, it's just a learning experience. Like, it's a game of learning, and it's an awesome game. I enjoy it very much.
We've really enjoyed getting a chance to chat with you, Langdon. Really appreciate the time. Congrats on all the success, continued success in Vauxhall, a future showcase, and so much more. And again, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
On the other side of the diamond that day was Trentin Kooy. The going-yard GOAT center fielder has continually turned heads everywhere he's gone, including the Canada Cup, picking up big hits and big moments. Not only is he heading to the Future Showcase as well, but he'll also be going to the West Coast Games in Southern California in October.
Let's talk about the weekend. Beautiful weather. Can't beat a summer day or late summer day here in Alberta.
It's awesome. Yeah, last 30-degree weather you're going to see out here. So before winter comes and be stuck inside for 8 months. So glad to be out here. Great time.
Talk a little bit about your summer so far. How are you feeling about the way that you've performed?
It's been amazing. Just like getting around to play with a bunch of different guys and a bunch of different teams. A lot of opportunities coming this summer, and so it's been a lot of fun playing with all the different people and discovering people across like the Canada that now I can play with and now can join a network with. So it's just an amazing time.
It's not over yet.
No, it's not.
Obviously you're looking to win this one, but at the same time, you've got a couple of weeks to go to Toronto. How excited are you for that?
That's been an achievement because last year, that was one of my big goals was to make it there, and then we didn't cross that one off. But now this year, just got the email that I was there. So probably the most excited I've ever been for a tournament, and I can't wait to be there and show what I can do and be out there.
What changed over the last year so that made you go, okay, this is going to be a realistic goal here?
It's been just a lot of work hard in the off season on my swing and on like mentally and physically, just on really just conjoining everything into, and just maturing as I grow into like my own swing and figuring out my own swing and just kind of then going out there in the game and be able to play with it with confidence has really been playing with confidence has really changed in my game a lot.
Talk a little about not just the playing side but also the learning side of going to a tournament like that. How much of it is going to be being like a sponge to a certain extent and picking up different things from different guys?
It's very hard because you have like in baseball, a lot of ups and downs. Every game it's like, I learned from this guy, he picks himself a lot up after the games, which sometimes I can, or even like everyone else always struggles with. An 0-4 game, it's not happy to go after. But so learning from everyone and like having teammates that pick you up and people like a group around you that supports you, it's amazing. And something that you'll never forget.
You get coaching on the
Yeah.
side too, really. You got some pretty world-class guys that
Yeah, we're
would be
blessed in
helping
going
you.
yard here with these coaches. It's
Absolutely.
awesome.
Talk a little bit about your goals and expectations of yourself going into that thing. Do you have any that you've set out, or you just kind of like, let's fly by the seat of our pants kind of thing?
No, I got my numbers there, but I got like the numbers that I want to go and my goals that I want to hit from like my numbers standpoint. But really, I just want to go out there, compete, and I think the main thing is to have fun. Being out there like in the Rogers Center, like especially with this Blue Jays thing coming up, like be in the moment, have fun, and go play the game. That's all.
Do you talk a lot with other guys who've done it before to kind of get a sense as to what to expect?
Exactly. And then I've talked to Merrick Yeager, who's a kid. He was there last year, and he said that it was just an amazing experience, and that's what I'm taking into it. It's not as much, I'm going to compete to the best level I can, but I'm also going to go there and enjoy everything that I can there and really soak it in.
I love talking about the journey for baseball. How'd you get into the game in the first place?
3 years old, sticking with T-ball. I don't know. My dad's always been big. He's been a big slow pitch guy also. Take me to those games really just got me in the environment. And here we are, just kind of grew with it and stayed with it. Yeah.
Were you a multi-sport guy growing up?
I played hockey, but that was kind of just it was more like a with my friend thing. It's like, wherever my friend is, I want to play there. So it was really all about baseball and just kind of wait until that season came. It was just something to kill the time.
Do you have a moment that you can go back in where you're like, man, this is more than just a fun game that I like playing. Like I can chase this thing if I really want.
I'd say, honestly, like Canada Cup, like just like having like some big hits there or having like a big team win, it's like something that like, baseball, it's like all this and that, but like when you're like actually with a team, you really like get the energy of everyone's there for you, everyone's there with you, and it's something that like, it really makes the game more than just a sport is when you're with everyone and you're, hopefully win it.
Any favorite moments to this point?
No, Canada Cup's probably been my favorite. I also was in the Junior Future Games last year, which was awesome. Just being in that Lake Point facility with all the like teams from across like all the states and everything, playing against all the states was awesome experience, and meeting with guys that from Georgia, wherever, that you never really see before.
Have you had those moments of like, I got to cut the noise out because there's been a lot of talk about you, right? There's a lot of attention. Social's obviously a big thing, but do you drown that out, or do you kind of embrace and go, this is a cool thing to have?
It's really hard. Like sometimes it gets really hard and it's really hard to drain out, but that's like the biggest thing about baseball is, it's just a game. You get out there and you play to your best ability. Whatever happens, kind of happens. And if you give it 100% of your effort, then that's all you can do, and, hope for.
We talked about the positives. I'd be remiss. Baseball's a game of failure.
Yes.
What's been the biggest challenge or hurdle you've had to overcome?
The biggest challenge, I say, is getting injured. I've been injured like on and off, just like little tweaks all over my body, which is like takes a week out of I have to take a week off, and that's like those weeks of like thinking someone else is getting better, like someone else is training, well I'm not, and I'm like getting worse per se. It's something that's really hard mentally because all I want to do is like keep growing to the player I can be, but having the little downgrade of injuries or just anything. Yeah, so I'd say injuries is the thing that is the biggest failure, but even if you're out here going 0-4 or something, you're competing to the best of your ability and playing baseball, so you can't get
a couple more for you. For those young kids who are just starting out on their baseball journeys, they want to end up like you one day. Let's say your biggest piece of advice or words of wisdom you'd like to pass along.
I'd say my biggest thing, probably find a process and trust it. So just trust the process, because like you see kids that are like, there's some kids that are like really young, like doing all these crazy numbers, and they're just like, that's them, right? You trust your own process and you put the work into it, it'll come. So I just believe trust the process and put the work in that you need to. And
fantastic. Final question for you. It's one we ask everybody here. What's game baseball mean to you?
It's everything. I love it. Being out here, it's amazing. You can't ask for anything else. I'm glad to be out here every day and glad to put in the work, and it's something that I'll always miss, and can't wait to keep playing.
Absolutely. Well, really appreciate the time, Trent.
Thank you.
Best. Congrats on all the success you've had at this
Thank
point. Continued success going forward here at the tournament, future showcase, and so much more. Thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Too. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And our final guest this week is AHP Academy product Miguel Tetreault. Originally from Fort McMurray, he's been steadily climbing up everyone's depth charts, leading to a spot on Alberta's Canada Cup team as the starting shortstop. Like Kooy, he's also heading to the West Coast games, but his first stop will be Rogers Centre for the Canadian Future Showcase.
Miguel, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Yeah, how's it going?
It's going fantastic. And I mean, it's not as good as you and the travels that you're going to have in the not too distant future and the travels you've had so far this year as well. So let's start there. What was it like repping your home province on a stage like the Baseball Canada Cup in your hometown of Fort McMurray?
Oh, it was like nothing other. I mean, it was a pretty crazy, great all-around experience, especially being born and raised in Fort Mac. Going back there and playing in front of friends and family. Definitely a blessing to represent not only my hometown but my home province, and it was definitely a blast.
Did you get to take some home-cooked meals in while you were up at home?
Oh, yeah. All the time. I would go visit up with the family and whatnot, even though I was staying at the hotel with the team, and had some grandparents up, and it was nice to go sit down one night and just have a nice home-cooked meal.
So I'm curious, when you get to go home and you get to have that home-cooked meal and mom and dad say, listen, we're going to make whatever you want, what's the meal that you're going to ask for?
Probably lasagna. It's my go-to. Never let me down, so.
It's a good one. I'm a big fan. So looking back on that tournament as a whole, how do you feel about your performance on a personal level?
On a personal level, I thought I did pretty good. Turned a few heads, and I mean, obviously, you can always play better, always work on different things and improve. But I had a blast. Teammates were great, and you know, I just got to improve from there and look at the things I did wrong and see what I can work on.
How cool is it to be able to play with some guys that maybe you've either known in past run-ins in different, with, say, AHP as an example, or, you know, get to see these guys, now you get to actually play with them?
Oh, it was pretty cool. It was a great experience. I knew a couple of guys going on to the team before we went up to Fort Mac, and we practiced a few times. So it was really cool getting to know a couple of the other guys across Alberta and making some new friends along the way.
And you get to see some of the guys that you played with, and you also played against the Canada Cup when you head to Toronto in a couple of weeks here. Canadian Future Showcase is upcoming. Let's start here. This will be your first time going. What was the phone call like when you found, or the email like when you found out that you're going to be heading to Toronto?
I think I was just finishing up practice there in a lift at AHP, and get a phone call from my dad, and hopped on the phone with him, and he's like, "You made the roster." And I was like, what? Like, I didn't know what he was talking about, and I immediately hopped on Instagram there, and the roster came out, and so he let me know first, and that was a really cool experience. So,
how excited are you when you look ahead to what that 4 or 5 days is going to be like?
So excited. I mean, this is a pretty big fall for me, and I've been thinking about it every day since I made that roster, and I mean, I'm ready to go show out and show the scouts and coaches what I got, and hopefully turn some heads and maybe start talking to some big-time colleges and whatnot, and really excited. I've heard great things about it. Kids have a lot of fun, and yeah, so.
Very cool. When you look ahead to it from a performance standpoint, do you have any goals or expectations of yourself heading into that one?
Just be myself. I know I've worked hard enough to be there, and I deserve it, and I think I just got to go play and do me, and hopefully I can do some cool things, you know, maybe in the games or showcasings, and yeah, so.
Have you thought about that moment where you get to step onto the field at Rogers Centre and go, hey, I get to play ball here for a few days?
Oh, absolutely. I've thought about that. Whether it's me in the box getting ready to hit, or, you know, me at shortstop getting ready to go get that ground ball and throw a guy out. Thought about it way too much.
And there's never too much, and it's coming right at you. So looking forward to it. Not only that, but you're also getting another opportunity here to head to the West Coast games in October. What are you looking forward to most with that opportunity?
So for me is that I know a few other people going to that, whether they're teammates or guys I've played against in the past. That, again, is another big showcasing. It's in South Cali, so I'm looking pretty forward to the nice weather down there. Mm-hmm. Definitely ready to go ball out there and hopefully talk to some colleges and whatnot, and, you know, maybe get a few offers, and maybe that'll hopefully help me out in the future.
I'm curious, in your mind, what's kind of clicked for you? Because you've kind of popped in a sense where you're getting a lot of attention. There's been a lot of, whether it's social media posts or accolades or invites, like a lot of things are working for you. What is it in your eyes, in your game, that's allowed you to maybe elevate yourself to that point?
I mean, I think my defense probably sticks out the most, and that's probably what got me looked at originally, and I think that's probably what's getting me, like, that's probably the top of my game, and that's what's getting me like noticed. And then hitting's just slowly coming along after time, and my progression over time, you know, working out and all throughout the off season, and I've set goals and I've achieved, and it's just a long progress of doing all those things. But you know, that's just what it comes to wanting to be great and kind of getting those opportunities, and you got to work for them. And you know, I've never not wanted to do that, so it's definitely been a blessing to finally start achieving things and showing that all my hard work is paying off.
What's that meant to you, looking at it from, you know, obviously a lot of things are still to come here, but you're getting to represent Alberta, you're getting to represent Canada at these high-level events. What's that all meant to you?
Oh, it's meant so much. I mean, moved away at a young age. I've been billeting. I've been doing a lot of things on my own, and I've had tons of help along the way, whether it's coaches, teachers, teammates, or parents from afar. And it's really been a great opportunity that I've had, and it means a lot to me, especially going to represent, you know, Team Alberta this past fall at Canada Cup, and my future things that I'm going to represent there at T12, and it means so much to me. Like, I remember 4 or 5 years ago, you know, I had this dream of moving away, going to play for Team Alberta, and then, you know, Team Canada, still a goal of mine, and showing that all this hard work is slowly paying off. It means so much to me. So
Very cool. Let's go back into your baseball past a little bit here, Miguel. As mentioned, you're from Fort Mac originally. How'd you get into the game in the first place?
I think I started playing like T-ball in Mosquito there when I was younger, and then I had quit ball my Pee-wee year, I think it was. You know, I was a hockey player like everybody else, just wanted to play hockey, you know, go to the NHL, and that was another dream of mine. And I got back into baseball there right my first year bantam, and did good my first year, I guess, and I fell in love with the game, and I dropped hockey right there and then, and pursued baseball ever since.
Do you remember that moment where you went from, I like it, and it's a fun game and all, but maybe I can chase this at a higher level?
Yeah, I think right after my second year bantam, I got invited to Westerns, and I performed at a high level, and it was just, after that, I realized I had a little bit of potential, and wanted to see what I could do with it, and I had people that believed in me, and it was a really cool experience, and got invited to come to AHP, and I didn't look back after that, and I just put my head down, kept working, and see where it brought me.
Speaking of AHP, you moved there when you were about 15. Was there any trepidation at all in your eyes, or maybe your parents' eyes, about this idea of moving a few hours south to chase this crazy baseball dream?
Not at all. I mean, I've wanted to leave and pursue my dream from Fort Mac. And when I got the shot, I took it. My parents were on board with me, and we knew it was going to be long and hard and risky, and we didn't know what was to come, but they were on board with me, and it's nice having my mom and my dad and just there supporting me through it all. And I think that was the big turning point on what led me here.
Looking back at it, I mean, you're still in the midst of it with AHP, but what's that program meant to you in your development, not just as a ball player, but as a human being as well?
I mean, for the past 3 years, like Taylor, Ethan, and Connor, and that's not including the trainers and other coaches that have been there and teammates that have all helped me through it all. But it's the constant hard work that they do, and whether it's through school or through ball or mentally, physically in the gym. They have a pretty good academy over there, and they've transitioned me into not only a better player but a better person over time, and I couldn't thank them enough what they've done for me, and they're part of the reason why I'm here today.
I know that there's a lot of highlights probably still to come here, but looking back on the young journey to this point, do you have a favorite memory or moment on the field where you kind of had to take that step back and go, man, I can't believe I got to do this?
That was probably game 1 at Canada Cup there, starting shortstop, batting 4-hole, and I remember it. That first pitch, and I was looking up in the crowd. There was a big crowd first game, and it was a surreal moment, and something I'll probably never forget and will stick with me the rest of my life.
Absolutely. On the flip side of that, baseball's known as a game of failure, so I always like asking this. What's been maybe the biggest challenge or hurdle you've had to overcome over your baseball journey?
There's obviously a lot, whether it's hitting or infielding, but I think maybe, every year there's always a small minor injury that, I get or something, and it's like something I gotta push through and work extra time maybe in the gym, and that's something that always like mentally bothers you because you're scared or worried that something else will be worse over time in the future, and you just kind of got to trust the process and believe in yourself and work through that, and I've managed to do that every year now, and it only makes me stronger mentally and on the field physically, and makes me a better ball player.
For sure. Looking ahead, you've mentioned school, and obviously you're still looking for that dream school, but do you have something in mind? Do you have that perfect situation that you'd really love to find yourself in a year or so's time?
Well, for me, I'm not taking a gap year, so next fall I will be going down to school there, and ever since I brought up baseball, it's been D1. That's been my dream, and it's a lot of guys' dream everywhere across the world and for baseball, and I'm still working to that goal today, and hopefully I can achieve that dream of mine.
They always talk about there being the student athlete when you go down to play in college. Do you have a dream program or a major that you want to go towards and achieve when you get down there?
Yeah, I've been looking into a few different things like kinesiology or physical therapy or sports, something to do with that type of stuff. But for me, it's mostly what fits me the best, and that's what I'm looking for in a school. And hopefully I can find something that is just me and it fits me right, and I can go down to college next year.
For sure. A few fun ones for you here, Miguel. First off, what's your favorite food at the ballpark when you're there as a fan?
Oh, probably a burger, like a regular cheeseburger is the go-to with a Gatorade or something. Always fills you up, so.
Absolutely. What's your toppings of choice? Do you like having like a special like mushroom burger or anything like that?
No, I'm actually allergic to mushrooms, so, just regular cheese, ketchup, and that does the job.
Of course, I'd have to ask the one question about the one vegetable that you have to be allergic to. I apologize, but at the same time, how was I to know? What's your walk-up tune?
We don't really have them at AHP. We're always on the road, so we don't, I never really had a walk-up song, but, I just kind of go with whatever the booth plays me and go from there, so.
If you had a choice in the matter, do you have a favorite tune that you'd like to have as your walk-up at some point down the road?
Off the top of my head, no, I don't. I definitely have to do some research into that and figure out what would suit me best.
That'd be fantastic. And who is your baseball idol?
Baseball idol. I like to look at a whole bunch of infielders, especially shortstop, third base. There's a few guys out there that stick out to me, whether it's Josh Donaldson or Francisco Lindor or, just some other guys that are some pretty big names up in the MLB. But I wouldn't say I really have an idol. I don't really idolize myself to like anybody that's at that like. I can't really compare myself to anyone else, like at the high level. Like they're all like way above me, I guess. Like there's definitely some guys I like look up to and would hopefully be in their shoes one day. But I don't really have a favorite player, I guess you could say.
A couple more for you before we let you go here. You're back at AHP, seeing the young kids starting out on their baseball journeys, and they've come to you looking for some advice, for some words of wisdom to maybe get to the point where you're at now. What's that one piece of advice or those words of wisdom you like to impart upon them?
Oh, man, stick through it all, whether, it's long off-season days or you're struggling at the plate or in the field and, mentally you're not fully there or physically you're not fully ready for that next level of high-speed pitching or harder ground balls. You really just got to put your head down and work for it all. That's kind of what it comes to in baseball, and I definitely like helping out the younger guys, especially those who, that want it as badly as, I do, and they have that different mentality to want to play at the next level. Those are some guys that, really stick out to me, and just kind of being around and, whether they ask you for help and you can give it to them and you have the time of day to help them out, whether it's, off the tee swinging or basic ground balls.
Final question here. It's one we ask everybody here on the show. What does the game of baseball mean to you?
Means a lot to me. I mean, I don't know where I could start with it, honestly. It's kind of been my whole life there for the past 3 years. And I don't know where I would be without it, if I'm being completely honest. It's been through everything with me, and everywhere I look, it's right in front of me. So it's definitely something I love and look forward to playing in the future.
Well, we look forward to watching you in the future as well, Miguel. Congrats on all the success you've had to this point. Continued success at the Future Showcase, the West Coast Games, and so much more in your bright future. And again, thanks so much for joining us here on the show.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks again to Landon Kauffman, Langdyn Cummins, Trentin Kooy, and Miguel Tetreault for joining us this week, and thanks to all of you for downloading and listening. If you like this or any other episode, make sure to leave us a rating and review on your app to help spread the word about ADS. A tip of the cap, as always, to our Platinum supporters, the Okotoks Dawgs, Western Canadian Baseball League, and Under the Lights Sports and Entertainment for their generosity and support. They help us cover costs like web hosting fees and travel. For more on our teammates, head to albertadugoutstories.com/supporters. Until next time, thank you for all of your support online, on social, and on air of Alberta Dugout Stories.